My aunt spread lies that I never visited mom when she was sick. At the wake, the nurse thanked me in front of everyone for being there every single night. My aunt left before dessert was served. I couldn't sleep the night before mom's wake. My name's Daniel, 32, male. I kept staring at the ceiling, hearing her oxygen machine in my head like phantom noise. Even now, weeks after she passed, I still feel like I should be sitting by her bed, adjusting her blanket, whispering nonsense stories just to keep her calm. The person who should have been by my side through all this was Aunt Karen, 56, female, mom's older sister. Instead, she turned my grief into her personal stage. Karen has always been dramatic, but during mom's illness, she took it to a new level. She'd call cousins I hadn't spoken to in years, crying about how I was never there, about how poor mom was left alone while her son couldn't be bothered. Hearing that gutted me. Because the truth? I was there every damn night. I'd work my shift at the auto shop, grab a coffee too strong for my own good, and head straight to the hospital. I held mom's hand through chemo nausea, through the nights she was too weak to talk. I shaved her head when the hair started falling in clumps, because she said if she had to lose it, she wanted to do it with dignity. The nurses knew me by name. Security guards waved me in without checking ID. I was there. Karen? She breezed in maybe twice a week, max. And when she did, she came in with perfume so strong it made mom gag. She'd take selfies at the bedside, captioning them, "Our family first," while mom grimaced in the background. Then she'd vanish again. But Karen is slick. She knows how to spin a story. By the time mom's health really declined, half the family believed her version, that I was the absent son, too busy with my own life to care. People stopped texting me condolences and started texting me judgment. Karen says you barely showed up. Is that true? One cousin even DM'd me on Facebook. Bro, you need to live with yourself after this. I felt like I was drowning twice, once in grief, once in lies. But I didn't defend myself. What was the point? Mom was dying. Fighting Karen would have felt like spitting in the wind. Then came the wake. The house was packed. Karen had already claimed the front row like she was the widow instead of the sister. She gave this long, shaky speech about how mom was abandoned, except for me. I sat in the corner, fists clenched under the table, wondering if anyone would ever know the truth. That's when fate, or maybe mom herself, decided to intervene. The hospice nurse walked in. The one who saw me night after night. The one who brought me extra blankets when I fell asleep in the chair beside mom's bed. She shook my hand in front of everyone and said, loud enough to echo across the room, Daniel, I don't know how you did it. You were here every single night. Your mother was never alone, not once, because of you. The room went silent. I swear even the candles flickered. And Karen, my aunt who'd been basking in her fake sainthood, her face drained of color. She didn't say a word. She just grabbed her purse, muttered something about being tired, and left. Before dessert was even served. And I sat there for the first time in months, actually breathing. Because finally, the truth wasn't just mine to hold anymore. When Karen left the wake like that, storming out before dessert, I thought maybe, just maybe, I'd finally be free of her drama. Naive, right? Because Karen doesn't just leave quietly. She retreats, reloads, and comes back firing. The day after the wake, I was still in this dazed fog. My name kept getting mentioned by family. Daniel, you were so strong, or we didn't know you were there that much. It should have been comforting, but honestly it just made me angry that no one believed me until a nurse vouched for me. Mom deserved better than all that confusion. Then the phone started buzzing. Unknown numbers, private calls, texts from cousins I barely know. Half of them were apologies like, sorry for assuming stuff, Karen made it sound different. The other half? Pure venom. Messages that screamed Karen's fingerprints. Stuff like, your mother wouldn't want you parading your good deeds for attention. Or, funny how the nurse only saw you at night. Where were you during the day? That's Karen's specialty, poison laced with just enough plausibility to stick. By Wednesday, she escalated. She showed up at mom's house. Yeah, the same house I'd been cleaning out, piece by piece, trying not to collapse every time I touched one of mom's sweaters. I came home from work and found Karen on the porch, jiggling the doorknob like she had some right to be there. "What the hell are you doing?" I asked, holding grocery bags like an idiot shield. She spun on me with these tearful eyes that would have fooled anyone who didn't know her. "Daniel, don't take that tone with me. This was my sister's house. I have just as much right to be here." Except she didn't. Mom left the house to me, clear as day in the will. But Karen had convinced herself, or wanted to convince everyone, that she deserved it. "You weren't even there for her, Daniel," she spat suddenly, the fake tears gone in an instant. "I was the one by her side. Everyone knows it. And now you're going to waltz in here and play the grieving son while you cash in?" I dropped the bags, apples rolling across the porch. My hands shook so bad I had to shove them in my jacket pockets. "Don't you dare," I said. My voice cracked, but not from weakness, from rage. "Don't you dare rewrite her death the same way you rewrote her life." Karen laughed, this ugly, brittle sound. Then she stepped closer, lowered her voice. "People believe me, Daniel. They always have. You think one nurse changes that? I can make your own cousins cut you off. I can make you the villain at your own mother's funeral." Then, this part still makes my stomach turn, she kicked one of the apples off the porch like it was nothing, sent it rolling into the street. Symbolic as hell, like tossing away everything that mattered to me. I told her to leave. She didn't. She stood there, ranting louder and louder until the neighbor came out to check if I was okay. That's when Karen finally stormed off, swearing she'd be back with what's hers. I thought that was just more empty drama. I was wrong. The next night, I came home to find the side window smashed. Glass all over Mom's carpet. And on the kitchen table, a photo of Mom and me, the one where I'm holding her hand in the hospital, ripped in half. That's when I realized Karen wasn't done. She was just getting started. I didn't call the cops that night. Maybe I should have. But standing there in Mom's kitchen with broken glass under my boots and that ripped photo staring back at me, I felt this mix of grief and fury that made me stubborn. Karen wanted me rattled, desperate. She wanted me to look like the unstable one, and I wasn't going to give her that. Instead, I swept up the glass in silence, taped the window with cardboard, and tucked the torn photo into my jacket pocket. Half of Mom's smile in my hand. Half of it missing. It felt like Karen had managed to vandalize my memory of her too. The next morning, word spread fast, because of course Karen made sure of it. Cousins started posting vague Facebook statuses about people stealing what doesn't belong to them, and family who only show up for the inheritance. I didn't need to guess who they were talking about. Karen was puppeteering the whole narrative online, and I was the villain in every version. Then came the funeral. God, the funeral. I showed up early, suit stiff around my shoulders, clutching the folded speech I wasn't sure I'd have the strength to read. Karen was already there, greeting people at the door like she was hosting the event. Hugging cousins, dabbing fake tears with tissues she pulled dramatically from her sleeve. And when people asked about me, she'd lower her voice, shake her head, and whisper, "He's struggling." Like I was some addict or lunatic. During the service, I sat front row. Karen tried to wedge herself next to me, but I shifted, letting the space between us speak louder than words. When it was my turn to read, I walked up to the podium shaking so bad I thought I'd drop the paper. But then I looked out and saw faces, some skeptical, some pitying, and I thought about the nurse at the wake, about Mom's hand in mine every night, about the truth Karen kept trying to bury. So I read. Not some polished eulogy, just raw memories. How Mom used to hum when she did the dishes. How she called thunderstorms God's drums. How even in chemo she asked me if I was eating enough. People cried. Real tears. And for a second I felt Mom with me again. But then Karen had to take her turn. She marched up, voice already trembling. "My sister," she began, eyes darting to the crowd. My sister was abandoned, except by me. I was her rock, her daily support, her everything. It was a direct attack. Right there, in church, at Mom's funeral. My jaw locked so tight I thought I'd crack a tooth. She ended her speech with this dramatic sob and collapsed into the arms of a cousin like some stage actress. After the service, people avoided me again. That's Karen's power. She doesn't just lie, she infects. She makes people want to believe her because it's easier than facing the ugly truth. That night, I went back to Mom's house. Staring at the cardboard over the window, staring at that ripped photo, something hardened in me. Karen thought she could rewrite everything. Mom's illness, her death, even who I was as a son. And that's when it clicked. If she wanted to play dirty, fine. I'd dig up the truth in a way she couldn't spin. I just needed to wait for the right moment. And when it came, Karen wouldn't be able to crawl out of it. After the funeral, I thought maybe things would simmer down. Mom was gone, the service was over, and there was nothing left for Karen to claw at. At least that's what I told myself. But grief and Karen don't mix like normal people. For her, grief was gasoline. The harassment escalated fast. First, it was late-night phone calls. She'd leave voicemails sobbing so hard she could barely breathe, accusing me of stealing the house, of erasing her from her sister's memory. Then, the next morning, she'd post on Facebook all cheery, grateful for my sister's love guiding me from above. Some people will never understand true devotion. The whiplash was insane, but it didn't stop there. A week later, I came home from work to find spray paint across the garage door. Thief. Bright red, dripping down the white paint like blood. My stomach dropped. My hands shook as I scrubbed it off, neighbors watching from their lawns. Nobody said anything, but I knew they'd already heard Karen's version. That I was the greedy son who swooped in for the inheritance. The breaking point came when she showed up at my work. I was under the hood of a car at the shop when one of my coworkers yelled, Daniel? There's a woman out here losing her mind." I came out wiping my hands on a rag, and there was Karen, in the middle of the parking lot screaming at customers. "He's a liar! He abandoned his own mother! He's cashing in on her death while I suffer!" She was pointing at me, tears streaking her mascara, shaking like she was on trial for her own crimes. My boss came storming out, furious, telling her to leave before he called the cops. Karen doubled down, wailing that she was being silenced and that I'd turned everyone against her. She ended up throwing her purse at my car, the contents scattering across the asphalt. Lipsticks, tissues, a crumpled obituary from the funeral. Customers just stood there, some filming on their phones. My boss threatened to fire me if she ever came back, because he wasn't running a circus. That night, sitting in Mom's empty house with the broken photo still tucked in my jacket pocket, something inside me clicked. Karen had gone too far. And then, this part is almost eerie, the opportunity landed right in my lap. I got a call from the hospice nurse, the same one who'd thanked me at the wake. She said she'd found something while organizing old files, a notebook. Mom's notebook. Apparently, Mom had kept little notes during treatment. Not full journal entries, just scribbles, observations, reminders, names of who visited and when. The nurse offered to give it to me the next day. And in that moment, I knew. Karen thought she owned the story. But Mom had already written the truth. In her own handwriting. That was my weapon. Update. Wow. I didn't expect this to blow up like it did. I read through a bunch of the comments last night, and honestly, I don't know whether to laugh, cry, or just sit here in stunned silence. Some of you told me to cut Karen out completely, others said to lawyer up, and then there were the wild suggestions like, salt the earth and let her choke on her own lies. Tempting, not gonna lie. A few people DM'd me sharing their own family Karen stories, and it hit me how common this crap is. Siblings, aunts, cousins, people who rewrite history and make you the villain in your own life. Reading those made me feel less alone, so thank you. But here's the part that floored me. Y'all kept saying, you need proof. Screenshots, recordings, paper trails. And guess what? Proof literally fell into my hands. Remember how I mentioned the hospice nurse? She called me back the day after Karen's meltdown at my job. Turns out Mom kept a little notebook during treatment. Nothing fancy, just short notes in her shaky handwriting. What she ate, who visited, little things that helped her get through the day, and it's all there. Page after page. Daniel brought soup again. Stayed until I fell asleep. Daniel rubbed lotion on my hands. They don't hurt so much now. Daniel stayed the whole night. He hummed while I drifted off. Karen's name? Barely in there. When she is, it's stuff like, Karen came for 20 minutes. Too much perfume. I felt sick after. Reading it shredded me. It was like hearing Mom's voice again, like she left me one final way to fight back. Not just to remember her, but to defend myself from Karen's poison. So yeah, I have my weapon now. Mom wrote the truth in her own words. Karen can scream until her lungs give out. She can't erase ink on paper. And I've decided I'm not just going to keep this notebook hidden away. I'm going to use it. Because Karen isn't stopping. After she vandalized the garage, after she humiliated me at work, it's clear she's only going to escalate. So Reddit, thanks for the push. You gave me the clarity I needed. Next time Karen tries to make a scene, she won't be the only one with an audience. She wants a war of stories? Fine. I'll give her the one she can't twist. I didn't have to wait long for Karen to give me the perfect stage. She set it up herself like she always does. 2 weeks after the funeral, she announced she was hosting a celebration of life for Mom at her house. No one asked her to. No one wanted it. But Karen thrives on being center stage, and she pitched it as a healing gathering for family, which translated to another chance to drag my name through the mud. I showed up because if I didn't, Karen would twist that into proof I was cold or too busy. Her living room was packed with cousins, neighbors, even some people who hadn't seen Mom in years. On the mantle, Karen had plastered photos of herself with Mom, mostly those staged hospital selfies where Mom looked exhausted and Karen looked ready for a photo shoot. I barely had a chance to grab a plate of food before Karen tapped her glass with a spoon and launched into her speech. My sister was my everything, she began, voice trembling. I was there every step of the way. When others couldn't be bothered, I never left her side. It broke my heart to watch her suffer alone, but I was her rock. I felt the notebook heavy in my pocket. My palms started sweating. The rage was there, sharp as ever, but this time I also had calm. Proof. Karen kept going, milking the room. It's sad that some people only show up after death when there's a house and money to be sorted out. But I was there while she lived. That was it. The moment. I stood up. My chair scraped so hard against the floor it made people flinch. That's a lie, I said, my voice louder than I meant. Everyone froze. Karen's eyes narrowed. She wasn't expecting me to interrupt her performance. I pulled out the notebook, held it up so everyone could see. Mom wrote it all down, every visit, every night, every moment. You want to know who was there? Read her words. The room buzzed, whispers rising like static. Karen's face went pale, then blotchy red. That's fake, she snapped, her voice cracking. He forged that. He's always been jealous. But I didn't let her finish. I flipped the notebook open and read, Daniel stayed all night again. I don't feel so alone. Then another. Daniel shaved my head. I cried, but he made me laugh after. People leaned in, some gasped. And then I read one that hit like a hammer. Karen came by today. Her perfume made me sick. She left after 20 minutes. Silence. You could hear the fridge humming in the kitchen. Karen lost it. She lunged for the notebook, actually tried to rip it out of my hands. Plates clattered, people shouted, and someone grabbed her before she knocked over the table. She was screaming now, mascara running, kicking at the floor like a child. Lies! All lies! But it didn't matter. Everyone had heard Mom's handwriting out loud. The spell Karen had over them was broken in one night. She tore out of her own house, slamming the door so hard a picture frame fell off the wall. And this time, she didn't just leave before dessert. She left behind her entire fake narrative. And me? I finally felt like Mom's voice had drowned out all of Karen's noise. The fallout from that night was instant. Karen didn't just lose her temper, she lost her audience. And for someone like her, that's a death sentence. The next morning, my phone blew up. Cousins who'd been cold to me for months were suddenly apologizing. Daniel, I had no idea. I'm so sorry for believing her. A few even offered to help me clean out Mom's house, something nobody had offered before. For the first time, It felt like the truth had finally landed. But here's the thing about Karen. She doesn't retreat. She reloads. 2 days later, I walked outside to find my tires slashed. All four. Deep gouges, rubber shredded. A little gift waiting for me on the windshield. One of Mom's obituaries, folded, with the words thief scrawled across it in black marker. I knew it was her. Nobody else hated me that much. When I showed the note to one of my neighbors, she sighed and said, "I saw Karen's car on the street last night. Didn't think anything of it." That was her, sliding in and out like a shadow, leaving chaos behind. I tried reporting it, but the cops didn't care. Family dispute, they said, like it was just a sibling squabble. I drove a rental for a week and paid nearly $1,000 out of pocket. Karen had to be laughing. Then she went further. One evening I came home and found my front door ajar. My chest tightened. I thought I was being robbed. But nothing was missing. Instead, my living room was trashed. Mom's framed photos torn from the walls. The urn with her ashes tipped over, scattering across the carpet like sand. I swear my knees buckled. That wasn't vandalism. It was desecration. There was no note this time. Karen didn't need one. The message was clear. You may have the house, but I can still destroy what's inside. That night, I sat in the wreckage, clutching what was left of the urn, and realized Karen wasn't just bitter. She was unraveling. She couldn't handle being exposed, so she was trying to rewrite the story again, this time with violence. And here's where it got even more twisted. Some families still defended her. One cousin called me saying, "You know Karen's not well, right? Maybe you should just let her have something. She's grieving too." Grieving? By smashing Mom's urn? By cutting my tires? No, that wasn't grief. That was war. And as much as I wanted to keep playing defense, I knew Mom wouldn't want me to let Karen run wild. The notebook wasn't just a weapon. It was a shield. I had Mom's words. The only thing Karen had left was chaos, which meant the next move had to be mine. Update 2. I honestly don't even know how to start this one. I thought calling Karen out with Mom's notebook would be the end of it. That once the truth was in the open, she'd back off. Instead, she's gone completely off the rails. First off, thank you to everyone who commented after my last post. Some of y'all had me laughing through tears with lines like, "Your Aunt Karen unlocked the final boss of gaslighting," and, "Dude, she's one candlelight vigil away from a full Netflix docuseries." Humor aside, a lot of you warned me. People like Karen don't stop when they lose. They escalate. And you were right. Since that gathering at her house, it's been a full-on nightmare. She slashed my tires, left an obituary on my windshield with thief scrawled across it, and when that didn't rattle me, she broke into Mom's house. She didn't steal anything. She trashed it. Tore photos off the walls, knocked over the urn with Mom's ashes. Do you know what it feels like to pick pieces of your mom's urn out of the carpet? To sweep up her ashes like they're trash on the floor? That wasn't just vandalism. That was cruelty on a level I can't wrap my head around. And here's the kicker. Some family members are still defending her, saying she's grieving in her own way, or maybe give her something from the house so she feels included. Like destroying my car and my mom's ashes is just some quirky form of mourning. Reddit, I need you to hear this because it feels insane when I say it out loud. I'm the one who sat by Mom's bed every single night. I'm the one who cleaned her house, planned her funeral, tried to hold it together. And somehow, I'm the villain in Karen's story. But I'm done being on defense. Mom's notebook was just the beginning. I've started documenting everything. Photos of the slashed tires, the trashed living room, screenshots of Karen's rants online. If she wants to drag me into chaos, then fine. I'll drag her into the one place she can't spin, court. Some of you said to keep receipts. Well, I've got them now. And when this goes down, Karen won't just lose her fake sainthood, she's going to lose the only power she's ever had, her control over the story. I'm scared, I'm furious, but mostly, I'm ready. Because Mom deserved peace. And Karen's about to find out what happens when you tear that piece apart. After that update, I promised myself I wouldn't wait for Karen to make the next move. But the thing about unstable people is, they don't wait either. A week after I started collecting receipts, she staged her most insane stunt yet. It was a Saturday morning. I was cleaning out Mom's kitchen, boxing up dishes and old recipe cards, when I heard shouting outside. I looked out the window and froze. Karen was on my front lawn, holding a giant cardboard sign she'd spray painted with, "Daniel abandoned his mother, and she wasn't alone." She dragged two of her church friends with her, women I barely knew, both clutching smaller signs that read things like, "Shame on the ungrateful son," and "Truth will prevail." She turned my grief into a protest. On my lawn, neighbors came out to watch. Some filmed on their phones. One guy across the street actually yelled, "Is this real?" I stepped outside, phone in hand, already recording. "Karen, get off my property," I said. My voice shook, but I kept it steady enough for the camera. Her response? She started sobbing so dramatically it sounded rehearsed. "See? He silences me just like he silenced his mother. She died alone because of him." Her friends gasped, clutching their pearls like they were extras in a bad play. That's when I lost it. I pulled Mom's notebook out of my jacket and read aloud right there on the lawn. "Daniel stayed until I fell asleep. Daniel brought me soup. Daniel hummed until the pain meds kicked in." The crowd went quiet. Even the neighbors filming lowered their phones. Karen's face twisted like she'd swallowed glass. Then she lunged. Full-on charged at me, trying to grab the notebook. I stumbled back, almost fell off the porch, but caught myself. She clawed at my sleeve, screaming, "Lies! All lies!" while her church friends tried to pull her away. That was it. The moment I'd been waiting for. Proof of everything. Her harassment, her violence, her complete meltdown, all caught on camera. My neighbor across the street even yelled, "I got the whole thing." Karen finally tore herself free, mascara streaked, hair wild, and ran to her car. She peeled out so fast she nearly clipped her own friends. And me? I stood there, notebook in one hand, phone in the other, shaking but steady. Because this time, it wasn't just my word against hers. It was Karen, fully unmasked, in front of half the neighborhood. That night, I uploaded the video to a private Google Drive, sent the link to a few key family members who'd been drinking Karen's Kool-Aid for months. No commentary, no caption, just the footage. By the next morning, I had texts from cousins. "I'm so sorry. We should have believed you." And the best one of all, "Karen needs help. We're done defending her." For the first time since Mom died, the tide was turning. And I knew exactly how to ride that tide into Karen's final downfall. After the lawn protest, Karen's mask was shattered. But I didn't want her to just slink away and rebuild her lies later. I wanted closure, for me, for Mom, for everyone who'd been caught in her web. So I went nuclear. I took the video of her meltdown, the photos of my slashed tires, the trashed living room, and the obituary she'd defaced, and I compiled them into a single folder. Added scans of Mom's notebook entries too. Then I emailed it to every relative who still had Karen on a pedestal. No captions, no dramatic paragraphs, just a subject line: Mom's truth. Within an hour, my phone was buzzing nonstop. Some family members apologized. Others said they were cutting contact with Karen completely. One cousin actually wrote, "I defended her for years. Now I feel sick." But the biggest moment came at the family meeting Karen herself had organized. Yeah, she'd planned this family dinner to heal the rift. I almost didn't go, but I realized it was the perfect chance. When I walked in, Karen was already there, acting like nothing had happened. She had her hair done, a new dress, and she was hugging cousins like she was the hostess of the year. But when she saw me, her face dropped. I didn't sit down. I didn't touch the food. I just pulled out my phone, hooked it up to the TV in the dining room, and hit play on the video of her screaming on my lawn. The room went dead silent as Karen's voice filled the room. "He silenced his mother. She died alone because of him." Then the footage showed her lunging at me, clawing for the notebook while neighbors yelled in the background. Nobody said a word, just shifting chairs, uneasy glances. Finally, one uncle stood up and muttered, "That's enough, Karen. We're done." Karen snapped. She started wailing, screaming that it was doctored, that I had set her up. She grabbed a glass from the table and hurled it at the wall, shattering it into shards. Some of the younger kids started crying. And that was the final straw. People left. Chairs scraped. Plates clattered as family members walked out one by one. By the end, it was just me, Karen, and the wreckage she'd made. She looked at me with this hollow rage, like she wanted to tear me apart but couldn't find the words. "You'll regret this," she hissed. But I didn't regret it. Because at that moment, she was alone. The one thing she'd always feared, being abandoned, ignored, irrelevant, had finally caught up to her. I walked out, leaving her to scream in an empty room. Now, weeks later, the silence is different. No more midnight calls. No more vandalism. Most of the family checks in on me instead of her. She's burned her bridges so completely that even her closest allies won't pick up her calls. And me? I visit Mom's grave every Sunday. I bring the notebook, read an entry out loud, and leave a flower. It feels like keeping her voice alive, reminding myself that I wasn't crazy, that I wasn't the villain. Karen tried to rewrite the story, but in the end, Mom wrote it better. And the truth outlived the lies. Do you want me to write an epilogue style closer, like Daniel reflecting months later on how life has changed and what lesson he took from all of this? Or should the story end hard here, with Karen screaming in an empty room and Daniel walking away?